because this is what happens when you don't cook them fast enough. And we're trying to avoid this. We're trying to stop this and have some really beautiful onions for the next couple of months. Hey friends, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be doing a massive food and meal prep. I have so much to share in this video. I cannot wait to get into it. If you're new here, my name is Nicholsen. I love to do all things homemaking, and I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel for so much more. And if you're returning, it is so great to see you. Okay, we are going to put all of this food away and make all of the dishes we need for this week. Let's jump right into it. Before we jump into this video, I wanted to add a disclaimer that if you are not a food and meal prepper, you have got to check out Factor. If you aren't familiar, Factor makes delicious, fresh, never frozen, dietitian-approved meals that are delivered right to your doorstep. Their team of gourmet chefs create each meal using only ingredients with integrity to help you feel your best all day long. They take the stress out of meal planning, which I'll tell you today was pretty stressful, and they set you up for success all week long. Skip the grocery store prep work and the cooking fatigue. Instead, get chef-crafted, dietitian-approved meals delivered right to your door with over 35 meals to choose per week, including keto, calorie-smart, vegan, and vegetarian. So eat stress-free all week with Factor's delicious, ready-to-eat meals. Each fresh, never frozen meal is chef-crafted, which I love. They are so good. The flavors are beyond robust, and they also offer a load of snack options like breakfast, smoothies, juices, small bites, things like that. I absolutely love it. If you're heading out of town, you can skip a week if you need to, but if you are like me and you need some delicious meals all week long, these are my go-to for lunch. And since today we're only prepping for dinners, I love to be able to pack my refrigerator full of Factor meals. So now that I'm back at work full time, I definitely will need these meals to carry me through the day. So if you are looking for healthy, delicious lunch or dinner meals sent right to your house, definitely go with Factor. I have been enjoying Factor for many years. I've shared them on my channel many times because they are my go-to for all of my lunches. I love to take them to work, and then when I wasn't working, we even kept them for me just during the day so that I would always have a nice big meal. If you want to check out Factor, you can head to factor75.com or click the link below and use code 50LaurenN to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first Factor box. Again, by going to factor75.com and using code 50LaurenN, you will get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. I promise you will absolutely love the flavors of every meal in Factor, and I am so excited for you to experience them with me. I am going to be prepping my little heart out for dinner, but thank goodness and thank you to Factor for making sure that I have everything I need for lunch. All right, guys, now that we've had a nice, delicious lunch, let's jump right into today's massive meal prep. So if you guys watched my very last video, which I will link in this video, I went grocery shopping at Costco with my husband the day prior. I had all of my recipes ready to go, and I am going to attempt to do a massive meal plan and food prep today. Now, in the past, I have done weekly meal and not necessarily meal prepping, but ingredient prepping, where I would get all the ingredients I needed for the recipes I was going to cook each week and basically portion them out, cut them, chop them, clean them, get them in the refrigerator. And what I have found is that I was constantly prepping the same things over and over again. So I thought I would do a little research and learn about freezing. I looked at many different ways of storing fresh vegetables, herbs, cooked meats, pasta sauce, all the things. And most of which I landed on freezing. So I decided, we just got a Costco here in my hometown, and I decided that it would be an awesome experiment for the month of July. So the remainder of the month of July, to do a larger food prep by chopping things up and freezing them. Today I got home from work. It was my first day of work today. It's on Monday. And I was able to pop the lasagna, that's what the kids wanted, in the oven. And then one of my kids was feeling a little under the weather and she wanted some homemade chicken noodle soup, and I had everything ready to go. Usually that takes me hours to make. I had everything ready to go, was able to make that for her and get her cozy in bed. So far it's been working really well. At this point in my day, where I am literally in the moment of doing this voiceover, I would be downstairs cleaning up from dinner. It would have taken me probably an hour and some change to make dinner. So far in practice, it has been great, but I got everything prepped here in the kitchen, and we're going to get everything cleaned and dried, and then we're going to chop everything up based on what I think I'm going to be using it for. All right, guys, Monday ultimate prep day is here. I've got my drying pads. We are going to be processing green onions, leeks, asparagus. This will get sauteed. The mushrooms will get sauteed. These will be chopped up and put into marinade bags for fajitas. Corn will be cooked and put into the freezer. These will be processed 2 different ways. I do a lot of carrots and celery for like a simple mirepoix or to cook with our chicken. I'm going to process some zucchinis. We're going to roast those. We're going to process green beans. I may just freeze these because they're very quick to cook. We're going to clean and process all of these herbs. We've got parsley, cilantro, basil, dill, chives, and thyme, which is one of my favorite herbs to use in the wintertime. We've got cauliflower, broccoli. Then we are going to process the meat. We're going to start with 6 pounds of ground beef. This will be used for many different recipes, but we're going to get those processed. These will be put into marinade bags. These will be cooked and put into the freezer. I'm pretty sure I'm going to sous vide these. And then same with the chicken breasts, are going to be processed a couple different ways. We're going to do shredded chicken. We're going to do fajita chicken. We got ground pork for 2 different recipes. Italian sausage, that's for our lasagna. And then we're going to cook all of this bacon for the morning. This is some kale that I already processed for something else. Then we're going to make our freezer meals. The first one is going to be our enchiladas. Then we will hopefully get to making pasta today. I don't know if I'll have time. Here are all the canisters we're going to be using. We're going to be doing a good soup tonight. So just kind of depending on what it is I have, we're going to be putting them in here. These are those little freezer bag holders I just grabbed from Amazon. I got one a long time ago, but it was really not that great quality. And last but not least, we are going to process garlic, quite a bit of garlic actually. We're going to make mashed potatoes for the freezer. We're going to process all of this ginger, dice it up, put it in the freezer. Red onions, yellow onions, we're going to chop these. We're going to also dice them as well, because this is what happens when you don't cook them fast enough, and we're trying to avoid this. We're trying to stop this and have some really beautiful onions for the next couple of months. So we've got all that going on. We're gonna first start by getting all of this submerged in a little bit of vinegar, get it cleaned up. While that's happening, I am going to start the bacon in the oven. And I saw a couple different interesting ways to do this, so we're gonna find out what is the best today. So we're gonna start that. I will have both of these going. Yep, gotta move all that stuff out. We're gonna do bake 450, and then come over here and do the same. But first things first, I put on my list to do is our chicken stock is ready to be removed from here. I've got jars, so we'll just put the dates on these and keep that. I just have to strain it out, and then we will get all of this cleaned, and then what needs to get diced will get diced, what needs to get into freezer bags, and then we'll cook the remainder, and then we'll make our meals for next week. Pepe is having a ball. I guarantee you Henry is like on the fence or something, and Pepe wants him. But anyway, let's get started. We got a lot of work to do. Before I get everything into the sink, I wanted to give it a nice kind of scrub. I've been trying a different method. I used to use a bunch of different colanders, but this time I wanted to start just adding all the vegetables into the sink. I just want to make sure it's really clean first, and then I'm just going to use some vinegar, let everything rest for about 5 minutes while I'm prepping other things. And I find that this method goes 3 or 4 times faster. So if you are like me and you've always used the kind of colander and bowl, this goes really well. Just make sure you always clean your sink before you get started. I was happy because I was able to actually get everything clean quite quickly. While those were resting, the one thing I really wanted to get done, I'm actually not going to do too much prepping for breakfast, but the one thing I really wanted to prep was a bunch of bacon. We bought, I want to say it was four or six, maybe it was 4 or 8 pounds of bacon. And I saw a really neat trick that you can actually fold the bacon in half. And I tried it, and I have to tell you, I will never make bacon any other way. This bacon was so crunchy. I thought maybe the center wouldn't cook as well. Nope, it cooked perfectly. It was crunchy throughout. Plus, it was really easy. It was actually much easier to store. So I'm going to get this cooking. I have 4 batches I need to get cooking. So I decided to kind of put the crease end out. And I ended up realizing I completely forgot on the other side. But anyway, we go and flip that over. And I cooked these for about 15 minutes. I didn't even have to flip them, you guys. It came out so perfect. And then I'm just going to freeze these in little, probably 8-piece sets with a little parchment paper between, so I can just grab them in the morning, heat them up really quickly, and give them to the kids. Are also really great. We made some little bacon and egg sandwiches for the kids. It was really easy. So while those are in the oven finally, I'm just going to continue to process all these vegetables, get them cleaned out. Now, the reason that we come to this channel is to learn. So tell us in the comments the hacks, because later in this video, you will see where I went terribly wrong, like the absolute failure that I am at this. But I learned a lot, and I learned enough to want to do this again. But please tell us your hacks. What are the things that you do to mass prep? Are you a freezer? Are you a dry freezer? Well, tell us the things you are doing to help your future self for the week, for the month, even for the year for some of you. I'd love to know what tricks and tips you have. Please share them in the comments down below. I saw that the water was getting pretty murky and dirty, so I decided to take everything out, clean the sink again, and then just restart the process. I do have 1,000 carrots, and I knew they were going to get dirty. I didn't necessarily have to clean the carrots because I was going to actually peel them and then chop them from there. I'm going to actually cube them, but I wasn't sure, so I figured, well, it's not going to hurt anybody if I do. So I'm going to wash them, and then we're going to process them together. I did end up holding on to a good, I would say, a quarter of these so that I could chop them up, use them for kids' lunches and other things. I use carrots for actually quite a few things. So I didn't want to cut all of them into cubes, but a large majority of them we are going to cut into cubes and freeze them. Like I said, when I came home from work today, I was able to make a very simple chicken noodle soup for my kids with just the stuff I had chopped up. I had already had the chicken ready. I had the chicken stock made. I had the carrots, celery, and onion already chopped up. I threw all of it into a pot and was able to make it really quickly. So the kids were able to have pure 100% homemade chicken noodle soup in about 10 minutes. I just needed to cook the egg noodles. So things like that I feel are so wonderful, where other times I would just say, just go get a can of, Campbell's chicken noodle soup, and we'll have that because I don't have time, an hour and a half to make, from scratch, sometimes even, longer. Like my chicken stock, I always do for about 4 to 6 hours. So I'm always a, low and slow kind of gal, but I will say that it just makes such a good broth. But today, to be able to come home, do that, and put the lasagna in the oven was just so wonderful. The kids had a homemade meal that didn't take me all night. I was able to spend more time with them, which is more important than anything. I mean, I also found that buying things from Costco was more cost effective. I was able to save money by buying things in bulk and then cooking them down so they don't go to waste. You'll see later in this video, I did the beef in a couple different ways. So it wasn't specifically processed, just like taco meat or bolognese or just Italian meat. I did it in many different ways. And same with the onions. I'm going to do majority of this roughly chopped because that's the one that I use the most, but I would prep these in the exact size and form that you use the most. But then I took a couple and actually put them through the food processor that I wanted just like for salsas and stuff. So I thought that was kind of neat to be able to do them in different sizes. And then I just used a little tape I got on Amazon. I will link down below. What I like about this particular little label, you'll see later in this video, it's actually dissolvable. So you can put it in the oven. It washes off in the dishwasher and things like that. So here we are on a roll. We've got our onions chopped. We've got some bacon rolling. I've already had every kid come down and take bacon. I don't think this is going to last very long. So while that bacon is finishing up, I thought I would finish the onions once and for all. I'm going to throw them into this food processor, and we're just going to get these really finely shredded. I want this for things like salsa, and sometimes when I make pasta sauce for the kids and I'm trying to hide it, I do that by making it really, really finely chopped. Since I didn't want to sit here and chop forever, I will tell you my shoulder is killing me. I was so happy to have my sage on hand, my pain reliever stuff, and was able to rub that on my shoulder. I don't know why it was hurting so bad, and my hands from chopping, but it did, and it immediately helped. So thank you to Sage for coming to the rescue yet again. But anyway, so I have these finely chopped onions for a couple different recipes. That large one is going to be for a large chili we'll do on a Sunday while we watch football. And then these smaller ones will be for things like guacamole or like a salsa or things like that. And then we'll go ahead and put a little label on it and get that added into the freezer. I have about, I want to say 2 to 3 batches of these. And then those little plastic canisters, the winery that I worked for a while back had a chef that I texted and asked, what should I get if I'm venturing down this path? And these are the ones that were suggested. So I will link them down below. They were very affordable. They are reusable. And if you're looking for something quick and easy, they were great. So far, it's been 30 minutes since I started filming. I can tell by how long this video is, and I've got a lot done. We've got our onions done. I've also got my bacon going, and now we're going to process all this garlic. Now, I told you guys the last time I bought this bag, half of it went bad. I just didn't use it fast enough, which is wild because you know garlic is my thing. But I'm going to use the food processor and get this chopped up. We're going to do a couple different ones. I'm going to freeze some whole garlic. That way I can just pull that out and use it for the week, put it in the refrigerator, and I have little servings for each week. Then I'm going to do the same thing with some finely diced garlic as well. I like this blender. This is the Ninja. It's linked down below in I think all my videos. I really like it because it has an AI technology that tells the blender when to stop, which is kind of nice. It doesn't just keep blending and blending and I have to stop it. That way you don't over process the food that you put in here. But I didn't want it like roughly chopped. I wanted it a little bit more fine. So again, if the kids are eating pasta and garlic's in there and there's huge clumpy garlic, sometimes they're a little bit turned off by that. So by doing it a little more fine, I can still get those beautiful, delicious garlic flavors, just hiding it in the pasta. And this is also great for salsas, and I also put them in guacamole as well. So for this purpose, I'll probably have, again, I think probably a month or two of onions, a month or two of garlic at this point, which is pretty exciting. I'm pretty sure the bacon will go fast, but who knows? Hopefully the kids don't remember that it's in there and we can at least savor it. I thought it'd also be nice to pull some out and thaw while I'm at work, and then chop them up to add to a salad or like a BLT or something like that. Now that we have our garlic and our onions and the bacon ready to go, I need to start processing our ground chicken. So this actually, excuse me, shredded chicken. This has just been cooking for about 24 hours. I keep it on low and slow. And if you bring it to a boil, once you bring it to a boil, you can put it down to a simmer and just skim the top. Look at that gorgeous broth. I mean, it is so perfect, and the flavor is unbelievable. If you don't see that glistening kind of diamond shiny top, it kind of looks like melted butter almost, then in my opinion, it's not true broth. So I like it to look very much like you're seeing it here in this video. It's just so delicious. So I actually got quite a bit, and I was so excited because I sometimes don't get as much. And what you will find is if the water level or the broth level while you're cooking starts to lower, just add more water in. It will, you'll continue, see how thick this is. I probably added in another 4 to 8 cups of water while cooking, just slowly, and it just turns out perfect and so delicious. And it's also very, very good for you. I used to do these things called the owl cleanse out of Venice. I think it's called the owl Venice cleanse. I don't remember, but which I loved. And they send you bone broth. Oh my gosh, it was so good. I should probably do those again. That was like the healthiest I've been in a long time was when I was doing those. But I kind of fell off in the winter months, trying to keep my little winter coat on. So we're going to have to get back in the gym and get fit again because I have just been enjoying my little winter coat a little too long. So the last thing I need to do is save some of this garlic. I saw another really interesting hack, which I only tried with one of these, where you add these into a bag and then you flatten the bag and use the end of a spoon or something and make a grid line and freeze it. And then you can take it out and break it apart. And so you have tablespoons of like chopped garlic ready to go. Obviously I couldn't show it in this video, but I'll show it in another video because it wasn't completely frozen yet, but it worked. I was able to open that bag. I broke them all apart. So anytime I need 1 tablespoon of garlic frozen, I already have it, can throw it into any thing I'm cooking, and it's just so easy. And I really loved that hack. Of all the ones that I saw, I thought that one was pretty cool. The next thing I wanted to prep was some bell pepper. I love bell pepper. Honestly, it's like this fresh, crisp bite. It's just one of my favorite things to cook with. I also love a good romesco sauce, bell pepper all the way. But what I wanted to make was two mixtures. One is just some mixed peppers, and then the other one was a fajita mix with the bell peppers and some thinly sliced yellow or white onions, just depending on which one you like. So I'm going to mix those all up and then get them in bags, and we're going to freeze these laying down. I kind of eyeballed how I think the freezer is going to look. You'll have to wait till the end to see how it turns out. Just getting all of this food that we are going to prep today in that little tiny freezer. I was going to use a freezer out in the garage, but I find that I oftentimes forget like what's out there. Instead, now everything will be right here for the week and the month, depending on what it is, in the home freezer. I did get a comment asking if I was still going to be doing the kitchen, and I probably doubt I will be able to do that this year for many reasons now, but for most importantly, I'm not quite sure what we would want to do with this kitchen if I really knew what we were going to do. Like, I still feel like I wanted to put some French doors out kind of behind me where those on the sides of the oven. But then I feel like the chickens would be in the kitchen all the time. And so I don't know. We'll have to figure it out. All I know is I will never have upper cabinets. Those are horrendous. I hate them. They are not my favorite thing in the world. Those upper cabinets they just drag the room down. I just don't like them. I would only do under counter cabinets, if anything, and then a pretty robust pantry. Anyway, so we are done with the bell peppers, and we're going to continue to work through all the other things. Like the celery is another big item that I really use quite a bit. So basically when I did this, I wrote down the 10 to 15 things I use the most, and I'm going to bulk prep those depending on what I use them for. So the celery, I always cube the celery. I don't think I would ever use it long way. If I'm going to have celery for snacks, we will buy that weekly because we go through them so quickly. I wouldn't thaw those out, but these are strictly for cooking. So we're going to chop all of these down. Now we have leeks. I will say I probably wouldn't prep a whole lot of leeks in the summertime, but I love leeks in all of the soups. I want to say like almost all of my potato soup, asparagus, mushroom, even my pumpkin soup, like all of them come. What did I just make? Oh, what was it? If you guys can remember, I had a recipe. I just did a soup with leeks. I can't think of it. Anyway, but leeks are my favorite to put in soups. I love the flavor. And if you stew them down low and slow with a ton of butter, chef's kiss. It is so good. I find leeks to be life's little luxury. Now, I'm going to put them in these kind of larger bowls only because I feel like if I'm going to be using leeks, they're just like onions in that they stew down, or maybe not so much onions, but definitely like spinach. They stew down a lot. So you think you have a ton and you're like, this didn't go very far. So I would suggest doing them in kind of a quarter pint, half pint, something that's a little bit more large if you're going to use them for soups as well. I added some in some larger ones. Again, I can take those out, put it in the refrigerator, let it thaw out, and pull from it throughout the week, which makes things really, really easy. The other thing I wanted to try to freeze, which I've actually never frozen, had to Google if it was freezable, was green onions. And I don't separate the white part of the scallion from the green onion, but I'll let you know how it all pulls together. The internet said it was going to be okay, so we'll trust it. One of the things I'm planning to do is, as we kind of use some of the stuff through the freezer, just keeping a gauge on how much I put in and how much I use and how quickly I use it. That way I can replenish, whether it's weekly, every other week, or monthly. I want to kind of keep a good gauge on the things that I'm using in here and how quickly I'm going through them. I have a feeling just after 2 days, these carrots I may not use in the wintertime. So these are things I'm going to transition out of. And I think I'll transition into different things that I enjoy cooking in the different seasons that we have. Like I know for sure in spring, I use a lot of peas, a lot of different types of peas. So we'll probably be transitioning the freezer depending on the seasons, because I just won't use a lot of carrots during that time of year. The last thing I need to do is get all this bacon. Well, what's left of it, my kids ate a ton of it already, but what's left of it into these little trays. We're going to add these to the freezer. I can pop them out, take what I need off the parchment paper, and add it back into the freezer. Makes my mornings really easy. I can also, things like eggs, unless you are feeding a lot of people, I'm only feeding 4 children, one of which is not a big breakfast person. I'm not a huge breakfast person, but I'm a big lunch person, which is why I love Factor. I don't want to make a big lunch, but girl, I will eat it. And then dinner, I'm also a big lunch and dinner person. So for those kids, I can make eggs. It only takes me a couple minutes. I don't mind making that. I don't mind making French toast and things like that. So I would never meal prep things like that. But if you were feeding like 6 kids, 10 kids, more, I could see the necessity to bulk make eggs and like breakfast sandwiches and burritos and things like that. I don't mind making those little things. I will tell you, it's part of the morning that I enjoy the most with the kids is having a nice breakfast together. I have coffee. They have their food, and it's just really lovely. So find what kind of fits for your household. Like I said, these are the things that fit for this season of our household. It'll eventually evolve depending on the different time of year and the kind of staple ingredients that I'll be using for those times of year, which I'll take you along with me. The next thing we need to do, since all of our vegetables have been processed and ready to be frozen, I'm going to start making my meal plans for the week. So the first thing I want to make is some lasagna. I'm going to be using some of that ground beef. I'm also going to I couldn't find ground Italian sausage anywhere. So I just bought the raw kind, and I'm just going to pull it out of the casing. Then I'll use a meat kind of grinder to mix it all together. I'm going to add in some spices. This is the same way I make lasagna any time of the year. It doesn't change. I'm just making it and then going to freeze it, which is just going to make my life a little bit easier. And while those things are cooking, I'm going to start prepping the marinades that I'm going to use for this week as well. So for these tri-tips, I am going to just add in this soy teriyaki marinade, which is super, super yummy, to go ahead and barbecue later in the week. One of the things I started to do while I was in the middle of cooking, which is never a good idea, was Google search different marinades to use for chicken and steak and things like that. And I found a couple, but didn't have the ingredients, and I figured I'd just ask you guys here, what are the different marinades that are your go-to? I am going to spend some time just kind of searching here on YouTube for a couple great ones that other folks enjoy, but I'm really into, especially during summer, like we talked about the different ingredients we use throughout the summers. I do a lot of marinades during the summer, but tell me in the comments down below if there are some videos or recipes that you love, because I would love to use them as well. For right now, I want to get all of the Italian sausage and ground beef ready to go. So that's going to go in the baked ziti, and then I'm also going to be making lasagna, and then we're going to transition over to the pork that we're going to do for the Thai pork lettuce wraps, which I love, and you can eat those for lunch or dinner. They're so yummy and fresh. I think it's the ginger that I love the most. Now for the chicken, I'm going to slice this up nice and thin. That will be for the fajitas. And then I am going to chop this up for just boiling. I'm going to boil, I think I ended up doing 6. So 6 for the fajitas, 3 for the fajitas, and then 6 chicken breasts I boiled in cubes that I will add to like chicken soups, or anytime I need to add a little chicken into any recipe, it's already cooked and ready to go. You could also do shredded as well. I'm not a big shredded chicken person. I don't know why, I just don't love the texture. I've always been a cubed and boiled person. Sometimes I used to put it in a pan, but I just don't like how it gets hard and like, just it gets like fried, and I don't love that. So now that our meat for the lasagna and ziti are done, I'm going to start on my chicken, and then we're going to move on to our pork. I'm having so much fun. Tell us in the comments down below if you're having fun with this massive food prep day. I feel like the kitchen is going to be really dirty this evening, but the one thing I will tell you, I'm finishing this voiceover the day after. It was Monday. I went to school. Took the kids to school, went to work, came home, threw lasagna in the oven. I even had leftovers I was able to drop off to a neighbor, and I will tell you, it was delicious. I got 5-star all around. It was so easy, and the cleanup last night was incredible. To make our baked ziti, I'm just going to be cooking down some beef, then adding in the onions and garlic. It was so nice. I already had it pre-chopped and ready to go. Then I'm going to add in some seasonings, and then I like to add in roasted diced tomatoes is probably my favorite go-to. I just think the flavor is a little bit more rich. And I'm going to mix this up. Then instead of having to cook the I'm using penne for this particular recipe, but rigatoni is also really good. But instead of having to cook it, you just add it right in. Once you have it added in and all mixed up, then we will add the last ingredient, which is sour cream, and it makes it really creamy and delicious. We want to get all of that mixed in. I like to add the sour cream at the very end. That way it really coats all of the pasta. I don't know if it makes a difference, but I just have always done it that way. So once that's done, we're going to add it into one of the cooking trays. I like to top it with some Parmesan cheese and some fresh basil, and that just is one recipe totally done, ready to go in the oven, and we are now going to move on to making the lasagna. For the lasagna, it's very straightforward. It's the same recipe I always use. We're just going to add a little marinara sauce to the bottom, add our pasta, and then I like to use whipped cream cheese instead of ricotta. It just is so creamy, and every time people try my lasagna, they always say it's the creamiest and most delicious, and this is the only difference. Honestly, I don't think that there's like a special magical way to make lasagna. I think as long as you add the layers that you love, it's going to be delicious, but I will tell you, I like this way more than ricotta cheese. So I'm going to do 3/4 with meat, 1 without. I have a child that does not prefer meat, so we'll go ahead and make sure that we omit meat on one part for her. And then I'm going to add in some Parmesan cheese and mozzarella cheese and just keep layering that baby until it is about to overflow. Then we're going to pop a top on it and get it in the freezer. I am so excited. It has been 2 hours and 20 minutes of cooking at this point, and I am almost done. I love to do a very thick topping of Parmesan cheese on my lasagnas. It's so good and creamy and just, oh my God, it melts so beautifully. So we're gonna do that. I'm gonna add some fresh basil, and then we're gonna finish our last two recipes. So for the Thai lettuce wraps, this is just ground pork. I'm gonna add a little garlic, some green onion, and some ginger to a wok, and then I'm gonna add in our pork. I'm gonna let that cook. We're just gonna be putting that into a little dish and saving that for, all we need to do is literally just thaw it out, take it out of the refrigerator, take it out of the freezer, put it in the refrigerator, and then we'll go ahead and add it to the lettuce wraps after we sear it up a little. The last thing I need to do in here is to make our butter. So I have 2 batches of that going. I am for sure going to continue to make my own butter because the entire house loves it and says it's the best ever. So it's super easy to make as well. For the other recipe that we are going to finish up is going to be my mom's chicken enchiladas. You're going to add a little bit of green enchilada sauce to the bottom. These are so easy. Take a little of that chicken we made with our chicken broth, add in onion, cilantro. You can use jack cheese or mozzarella. I had mozzarella on hand, so I'm just going to use that. You roll them up and just stack them in here brick layered, and that's all she wrote. I'm going to top it with some mozzarella cheese, some more of that cilantro and chicken. And this is one of my favorite dishes. My mom used to make it all the time, and it has to be one of the easiest. If you have a friend that needs meals, this is a really easy go-to. If there is kind of just something you're looking to drop off at a friend's house, this is usually that or lasagna are the 2 of my go-tos that I typically will drop off. Since I had a little bit of extra ground beef, I wanted to make some homemade bolognese sauce just to have it on hand. So I had this kind of cooking in the background. I also added in the roasted tomatoes, and I like to add tomato paste to my bolognese sauce. We have garlic and onions in here as well, and then I also added in some Italian seasonings. I'm just going to push that down so I can maximize. I was so happy I was able to get every single drop of this into these. I didn't think it was going to fit. Plus, I had a little bit left over because I really wanted to eat it. If you guys are ever looking for like a really fun, quick recipe, I love to have like a simple meatball and marinara sauce. It's just so good, fully packed of protein and just delicious. So once we're done with that, I had a couple things I needed to actually chop up, like the mushrooms. I was Google searching about how to best do mushrooms if you saute them, and what I found was it was best to just freeze them and then saute them when you're going to cook them. So we're going to try that. Otherwise, there's something to do with the butter and freezing the butter on the saute that makes it not great. We've got our pork ready to go, and we are almost done. I am so excited. I'm going to chop up those mushrooms. I'm going to get all of the chicken that we have had boiling ready to go as well, and then I will show you how everything turned out. I also need to add the rest of my butter in. Okay guys, we are officially done with our first ever full week meal prep and plan. What we have here, this is for the week, is this is barbecue chicken breasts, just marinade. This is teriyaki tri-tips, 2 of those. And then this is for our fajitas. Here's our fajita vegetables. These just go in a wok. You can cook them pretty quickly. I have some corn we're gonna freeze, buttermilk for ranch. I have 2 things of butter. This is, I just made, so it needs to get cold. Peas, bacon for the week, probably 2 weeks worth each day. Pre-made, all you have to do is throw in the oven for like 5 minutes. We have some chicken stock, green onions. I chopped up some mushrooms for soup, but then also for another recipe. I'm going to saute these down for 2 different recipes. We have some diced onions and then some thinly diced onions. Those will last me probably the month. And then we have garlic down here, and then we also have diced garlic as well. So we have a little mix of both. We have salmon for this week. We have some extra vegetables for some green beans and some bell peppers. I have 2 different green beans ready to go. I have 2 things of bolognese sauce, a bunch of leeks that we'll use for the month, and then this will be our carrots and our celery for the soups. I have 3 different soup recipes, so these will be perfect for that. We have our pork, our Thai pork. All you have to do is heat this up and add it to the lettuce wraps, and then chicken for both the soups we're doing. I have basil, thyme, and parsley for different dishes. Then I'm going to freeze some ginger for a long-term hold. So some of this stuff is for the month, some of this stuff is for the week. So like this is for the month, for the month, for the month, and then for the week. And then we have a baked ziti. No, excuse me. We have a baked ziti here. We have chicken enchiladas here and a lasagna. So very quick meals there. And so here's everything. We will get this all loaded into the freezer, and I'm ready for bed. And I've got these little tags I'm just going to put on each item. They're pretty simple. You just slap them right on and they come right off, so it makes that very easy. And that's it. It feels so good to open this freezer and see nice home prepped ingredients and dishes ready to go to feed our family of 6. I have to tell you, this used to be packed full of processed crap, and today I feel so great, so accomplished as a mom to have all of the ingredients I need to have healthy meals for our families. Here's everything. We have the bolognese sauce, the chicken broth. This is our buttermilk I'll use for pancakes and or making ranch. We've got our butter for the week, and then the freezer, we've got, let me close this, we've got garlic, leeks, mushrooms, onions, carrots, celery. We have all of our meals for this week here and here, and then some extras. I also have our pork in here, the chicken that we made. These are the herbs that'll freeze up nicely. And then down here we have all of that. All in a day's work. Okay guys, thanks for joining me. Thank you so much for joining me for today's meal and ingredient prep for the month. I am so excited. I cannot wait to do this again. And I will see you guys in the next video, which will be gardening. Okay guys, see you soon. Bye.